Hey guys, this is Cam with another King Tut Productions video. So today we're going to talk about something that I'm sure you've heard a lot if you watch expat vlogs or if you belong to any expat groups. And that is whether or not Filipinos are truly scammers and if they're just all horrible people out to get your money. If you spend any time in any expat group, you will undoubtedly hear some really bad horror stories of guys that just got completely taken to the cleaners by their Filipina girlfriend or wife.
How I got screwed over by a Filipino woman.
This video's about the first time I got scammed.
But I wasn't even in Manila for 5 minutes before I got scammed.
So while that does happen, I want to shine the other side of it because, as I said before in my other video about why expats leave the Philippines, bad news travels this far, okay? Whereas good news travels this far. I mean, think about it, right? If you go to a restaurant and the food is great, reasonable price, friendly staff, you think, oh, okay, I'm gonna leave a review for them when I get home. You get home, the dog is sick, the light bulbs need to be changed, just life gets in the way and you forget about it. Now imagine that you go to a restaurant and the food is horrible, it's overpriced, and when you ask the owner why he's charging so much, he cusses you out and tells you if you don't like it to go somewhere else. Man, you're gonna make sure to write that review and tell anyone who will listen not to go to that restaurant. So the same thing happens with a Filipina. You know, if a guy gets scammed, he wants everyone to know it and he's gonna tell anyone that will listen. Whereas if a guy is happy with his marriage, he's more likely to be quiet about it because who knows, someone may try to sabotage or something. People can be mean. So I decided to do actual data where I did real research and I asked over 200 Western men who are married to Filipinas how they feel about their marriage and whether or not they feel like they've gotten taken advantage of or whether or not they're very happy with their marriage. So it's kind of nice to have some real numbers behind this. So without further ado, let's go over some of the results. Okay, so first of all, and this is a very, very telling finding, is that 78.8% of men who are married to Filipinas are very satisfied with their marriage. They answered that they're very satisfied. And I think that's very telling. Now I'm just gonna read from a list I prepared. Some of the reasons they said were physical attractiveness, kindness, she accepts him for who he is, doesn't complain too much, and she trusts his judgment, which are things, let's be honest, that we men are looking for when we're looking for a partner. Okay, and one of the most telling findings that I found in my research is that 89.87% of the men who I surveyed answered that they had no doubt that their wife truly loves them. So if you see that number, the men who had no doubt that their wives truly love them, that's higher than the men who said they're very satisfied with their marriages. So that tells you that even the men that weren't as satisfied with their marriage, the issue wasn't that he didn't feel that his wife truly loved him. There were other issues. Now, when going over why they were less than very satisfied, there are various reasons. The biggest majority, which is 44.87%, cited cultural differences. And this is something that is really important. And I say this in all my videos, I'm gonna say it again. You are moving to another country on the other side of the world, all right? It is not like moving to a cheap version of Hawaii. You're dealing with Asian country, Asian culture, a hybrid of Asian and Hispanic cultures, really. So it can be a lot to navigate through. And some people think that because they speak English, which by the way, you know, in Manila, most of them speak English, but outside of Manila and Cebu, most of them don't speak English, at least not that well. They think that it's just gonna be like, oh, it's a cheaper version of Hawaii. It's not, it's a completely different culture. And so you're gonna need to be flexible and adaptable in order to make that work. I mean, you may be thinking about, oh, this nice little 20-year-old girl, the great body, gets the blood flowing, and I get that. But along with that nice body is different cultures, different values, different ideas of how things should be done. I mean, there's just you gotta take the good with the bad. It's a whole plethora of things that you're gonna have that come in one package that you're gonna have to deal with. So definitely, if you want to marry or date someone in another country, you definitely need to be flexible, because even if you're just looking for some submissive girl that you can just dominate and control, Well, you're gonna attract someone who's basically looking for a sugar daddy, and she's willing to do what you say for a while, but she's gonna get tired of that. And guys that just think they can just dominate and control a woman, then those are the guys that often just get left when she gets what she wants, whether it's a green card or just money. It just depends. You know, you're marrying a human being, and you have to treat her that way if you expect your marriage to last. Okay, so now I want to read you some of the examples of cultural differences that people gave in my survey. They're quite interesting. So one guy said, "We both speak English, but we have communication difficulties. Simple use or misuse of an English word will become a problem. Chicken versus duck, for example. She uses them interchangeably, but duck is not chicken. I should loosen up a bit." Here's what another guy said. "Just had to try to be flexible and learning to accept the differences in our cultures. Having strong beliefs and extensive graduate training in psychology and child development, both physical, mental, and emotional, that has been the greatest issue and are still working on it. The education system, even college level in the Philippines, doesn't cover areas of child development, which has caused disagreements in dealing with our adopted daughter. But with patience, things are improving." Okay, all right, and another guy said, "Misunderstandings, simple words taken out of context, overthinking things, and insecurity issues regards my life in the West compared to my life here in the Philippines. Some days it is not just another country, rather another planet. I love it here and live in a nipa house, pump water by hand from a well, love my life here. But there is a stigma attached to that when a Westerner embraces the Filipino lifestyle. I don't know, some strange ways of thinking or overthinking things here." So those are just a few of the things. Another commonly cited problem is the issue of Tampo. I'm sure you've heard about this in other blogs as well. And Tampo is basically the silent treatment. So when a Filipina feels slighted, she probably won't come to you directly and address her grievances. She'll just do what's called Tampo, which means that she just won't talk to you, or she won't cook as well, or or even break things and just to get your attention or to irritate you. All while when you ask her what's the problem, she's insisting that there's nothing wrong. So she wants you to kind of dig and see what the issue is. She's not going to come with you directly. And this is something that if you're going to date a Filipina, you're going to need to deal with, because Filipinos, that means men and women, just are non-confrontational by design. So basically, if there's a problem, it's very rare that they're going to come up to you and address their grievances directly and talk about it. They'll kind of do things to make you guess. Now this used to... I deal with it just by ignoring it. And then eventually they'll come out and just say what the problem is. Some guys, they'll just play that game where you guess what the problem is, and then you just have to go through this long list of what you think the problem could be before you could discuss it and resolve it. Everyone has their different ways. I personally just choose to ignore it. I think it's just the quickest way to deal with Tampo. Okay, another interesting fact is most guys met their wives online. I find that to be very interesting because in the West, most people do not meet their wives online, while that is a growing number. But most guys who are married to Filipinas met them online. Now, I did a separate survey on my YouTube channel of the best dating sites, and Christian Filipina and Filipino Cupid ranked near the top. I personally don't recommend trying to meet a girl on Facebook because I don't know, I've actually moderated some of those large Filipino foreigner dating groups. Most of those are just full of people looking for mutual exploitation. She's using him for cash and he's using her for, So, I mean, it's just kind of like, I don't know. If you're serious for a serious relationship, don't be cheap. Spend the money to go to a site where you can find a girl that's been vetted and you can find a good take home the mom type of girl. If you go on some of the free sites, you might end up with a girl with 3 kids from 3 different men and just just no education, just the kind of maybe the kind of women that may not be as desirable to you. But of course, everyone wants different things. Okay, now this is something that is very telling. It's actually a common sense, but it's nice to have data to back it up. Don't meet your girlfriend at a bar. Okay, according to my data, 94.12% of men who met their wives at a bar said they were either very unsatisfied with their marriages or they wish they hadn't done it. Look, these bar girls, they are trained to tell you what you want to hear because that's their goal, is to get money for you. They get a commission. When they say, oh, can you buy me a drink? And you buy them a drink, the bar gets a cut of that, obviously. And so don't believe the stories. You know, they'll either be up front and say, yeah, I'm just looking for money for you know what, or they'll say, oh, you know, I'm just a student, but I need money, so I'm just here because I just have to earn money, blah, blah, blah. So don't marry a bar girl, because in order to do that job, she's already had to put most of her morals and principles aside in order to be successful at that job. And my data just show that, you know, you're just not gonna meet a good take home the mom type of girl at a bar. All right, so now I want to talk about one of the main reasons that guys were not satisfied with their marriages. And that is that they didn't wait long enough before they married her. Look, I get it. You meet this beautiful girl, you have a connection with her, she has interesting things to say, and you just want to jump and grab her before someone else gets her. And you know, she's willing, and so you just get that ring and you say, baby, you marry me, and she's like, yes, and then everything is great. Well, I mean, the problem is you didn't wait long enough. You didn't know her. You just knew the surface, the superficial of her. She's pretty and she seems to have a brain. Well, I mean, again, we just talked about all the cultural differences that come behind that beautiful girl. And so the number one reason guys who weren't satisfied with their marriages said because they didn't take their time to know her. So if you're gonna marry a girl, especially a girl from another country, a poor country, who has a strong incentive to be deceitful, I'm not saying they all are, but the incentive is there, you darn well better take your time and get to know her and see, you know, and make sure that and feel her out and if she's legit. I mean, there's just no rush. If it's meant to be now, it'll be meant to be a year from now. And so you're not gonna lose out. If she dumps you because you didn't marry her after 6 weeks of chatting, then that should tell you something. And whereas maybe it was your idea to marry her because you're divorced, you've been lonely, I get it. But good things come to those who wait. So take your time. That's what my data show. So anyway, hope you like this video. If you have any questions, please let me know and I'll be happy to get back to you. And you also, if you want to see why expats leave the Philippines, you can watch my video on that on my channel as well. Thanks, bye.